blah, blah. And so I was looking for a freshman baseball coach too. I go, well, tell me about that. He's like, oh, don't pull my leg. I said, no, I'm serious. So what's the deal? So we talk about it, and he says, okay, fine. I'll talk to Coach Nicole Rott and see what the deal is. I'll get back to you in a couple weeks. About 10 minutes later, Wayner calls me back and says, Coach wants to talk to you. So I had the honor of coming in and coaching the freshmen for 8-9 years. And Coach gave me a call about 3 years ago, and he says, hey, Ray, he goes, I'd like you to come up and help us out on the varsity. And I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. I kind of like it down here. Nobody bothers me. And so I talked to my wife, and a couple other people said, you sure? He goes, you never know what the deal is. I said, okay. So I went and talked to Coach and came up with him and enjoyed the heck out of it. I was one of those guys kind of thinks that I know a lot, and you get around people that know a lot, and you realize you don't know a lot. And I learned so much baseball in 2 years of being Coach's assistant coach. Just incredible, the knowledge, straight across the board. It's just incredible what Coach knows. As they used to say, there's guys that have forgotten more than, this entire room will ever know. And Coach is one of those guys. The intricate detail on how we practice every day, how we treated the kids, how, as he said, how we carry ourselves, from how we wear our uniform to how we are in that dugout. We're not mouthing off at the other team. We're not doing anything other than carrying ourselves with class, and that's what we do. And I've had the opportunity, been very fortunate to try to continue that great legacy that Coach has. I get asked all the time by the kids on the prep news, hey, what now that you're the coach, what are you gonna do different? I just kind of say, well, why would I do anything different? There's nothing to change. It's just to keep on doing what Coach set us in, keep on improving, trying to make us better, give these kids the opportunity to have the greatest opportunity to play high school baseball here at St. Louis U High. Coach accolades, Hall of Fame, Missouri State High School Baseball Coach Association, Hall of Fame, St. Louis Amateur Baseball Association, Coach of the Year by the Umpires Association. And kids always tell me, Coach knew every umpire by his first name. Coach go out there to argue a call, and he give him a little pat on the butt afterwards, and say, hey, and that's just how Coach, that's how he carried himself, So it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce Hall of Fame Coach Steve Nicole Rott. Got to put the number 14 on one more time. We got all the assistant coaches that ever coached with Coach autograph the back of it for him.
This is now Coach's time to shine. There is no time limit. Get comfortable. Cannot wait to hear what the next 38 to 40 hours brings us.
Hey, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Tonight is not about me. Tonight is about you. Tonight is about all the great things that happen in sports, many of them at St. Louis U High, but they happen elsewhere. One of my friends, Scott, is sitting here from Vianney. They happen at Vianney. They happen at other schools. And the cool thing for me is to see the guys that not only I coached, but to see the guys like the fellows that I didn't coach, they get a chance to come back here and spend time with some of their friends. That's what this is about. That's what St. Louis U High is about. I wanted to, again, thank you all for being here. I wanted to thank my friends for being here. I really appreciate that. I wanted to thank my family for being here. My mom, Helen, my mother-in-law, Joyce, my wife, Debbie, my granddaughters, Leah and Adeline, my daughter, Jennifer, son-in-law, Ray, my other son, Chris, is over here. So I wanted to thank those guys for being here. And my granddaughter came over and she said, "Poppy, you need to put this phone away. You're being rude tonight." And what she didn't realize is that my notes are here and I've got about 3% left. And I'm really trying not to screw this up. I want to thank Sean and the steering committee for really doing a great job. And let's give those guys a round of applause. Thank you. Is Kathy Hyla, is she still here? If Kathy is here, if we could give Kathy, she always does a wonderful job for food for us. Kathy Hyla, can we give her a round of applause? I need to thank Father Ralph Houlihan. Is Father still here? Father Houlihan hired me at St. Louis U High about 40 years ago. And I really owe him a lot, because if I had to go through the process today, I don't think I'd be hired. So my interview with Father sort of went like this. Father was my principal at DeSmet. And so I applied for the job, and he brought me in and he said, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" I said, "Oh, fine, Father. How are you?" And he said, "Steve, how do you spell your last name?" And I said, N-I-C. And he, "Hey, Helen, that was the secretary, N-I-C-O-L-L. Okay. He said, "Hey, Steve, are you okay? Like, is typewriting okay?" And I said, yeah, I'll do typing. And he says, "Well, how about, will you do football too? Will you coach football and baseball?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." He said, "Okay. Hey, Steve, thanks for coming in. Welcome aboard." That was my interview. That does not happen anymore at St. Louis U High. Whatever success I have, really it really doesn't go to me. I didn't throw one ball. I didn't do anything. I had the pleasure to coach some, like Tommy said, some great kids. So the first group of people that I want to thank for my successes would be all the guys that played for me. I mean, those are the guys that committed to do something. They did things when maybe their buddies were out going on spring break. Our guys were here practicing. They committed to something, which is really important. I mean, it's the commitment that makes us who we are. And it's the failure of those commitments at times, which we all have, that whole we did such a great job going out there. I look forward to walk on that field and practice, and I would much rather practice than play. I had a great time, and that's why I could do it for 39 years. I wanted to thank the parents. I mean, I know in this day and age, it's not the same, but I had good parents at St. Louis U High, and I didn't bat 1,000. I know that, but I will tell you this much: the parents that I dealt with, 99% of the time, treated me fantastic. They treated my family well. They treated me well, and I'm very, very appreciative of you guys. I'm pretty lucky. I had some great coaches, some great guys that coached in our program. But before I get to those guys, I want to tell you, when I walked into St. Louis U High, here was the lineup of coaches that I was around. Paul Martell, Ebby Dunn, Emmett Hannick, Joe Mimlitz. Okay. These are the kinds of people that ran programs. Dom Kalachi, Jim Murphy, who is, by the way, Jim Murphy is here tonight. Murph, where are you at? Would you give Jim a round of applause? When I first got to St. Louis U High, I was kind of, I was a little scared, and we were in the social studies office, and Murph told me there was a rocking chair, and he was sitting in the rocking chair, and I was standing, and he said, "Hey, you just remember this. You just remember this. You say jump, and they say how high." And I never did forget that. Thank you. I also remember a sign that Paul Martell had in his office, and he said, "The first way to guarantee failure is to try to please everybody." And I never forgot that. So I was around some of the best coaches that a guy could be around when I started. But then I had some great peers. There's two guys that are here tonight, and one of them is going to retire this year, and the other one is still here. They are two great coaches and teachers. Jim, where's Jim Laniers? Is Jim still here? I know Jim wasn't feeling well. He was at the Mass. Jim Laniers, who is one of our assistant principals now, is an outstanding teacher, but was a wonderful cross-country and track coach. And I'm looking for another guy that coached in the baseball program. Great coach, better teacher, and he's going to retire. Is Matt Shudo still here? Is he? He's not here. Okay. Well, Matt Shudo is he'll be retiring this year, and they were here at Mass earlier, and I wanted to make sure I brought those guys up. And now my phone is going bad on me, so I'm going to have to wing it. I wanted to thank the coaches that I had in my program. I had lots of great coaches, lots of good guys, but 4 or 5 guys that I had that were with me a long time. And you know, Ray has been with me for 10 or 12 years, and I had Mike DeLorco, who's been coaching a freshman for that long. I have Nick Ellman, who has done a wonderful job with us. Adam Cruz. These are guys that have been in the program for a long, long time. I have a lot of other guys that are sitting here that have coached with me and helped define our program and helped make me a better person. And I wanted to thank you guys. I have a situation where I'm real thankful to my family. I mean, I had 4 kids. Okay, 4 kids that were, you know, I guess 6 years, 5 years apart. Now you got to remember, this was the early '80s, and I was coaching freshman football here. I was coaching baseball here, and then in the fall, after football, I'd be hopping and either doing a high school game someplace or a college game on Saturdays. And then in the winter, I'd be either driving or hopping on a plane refereeing basketball, college basketball, and my wife was left holding the bag. And she had 4 kids. And I can tell you this much. I have had, since I stopped coaching, I've had the pleasure to help my kids out with the grandkids. But I will tell you this much. It is work. And I just want to say thank you to, I couldn't have asked for a better person to raise our kids than my wife, Debbie. Debbie, thank you. Say something about the guy that I cut twice. You know, one of the reasons I was able to stay coaching is I had kids that, you know, you cut them and you know, they want to come back and do something. I know there's a boy this year that Ray cut, and he's coaching, you know, one of the younger levels. And we've had kids like that here. And I cut Tommy twice, and he came out his senior year, and I cut him again. And I asked him, I said, after when we became adult friends, I said, why did you come out that senior year? And he said, because I just wanted to be out here. I like practice. I like being out there. And it was fun. Well, we became friends, and he runs my camps for me, and he does a great job, you know. Then he goes and does the alumni service and you know, wants to teach a little bit, and he becomes my assistant coach, and he lasts, you know, with me for 14 years. And he has become, you know, we're business partners together now, and he really does a wonderful job doing that. But the thing I really like about him is when we talk about stuff, non-baseball, just stuff, like important stuff, he always challenges me. He always says, hey, no, coach, no. And I like that. He makes me a better person by having these kinds of conversations, whether it's, well, really, we don't talk that much baseball anymore. We talk about stuff that's important. And I really appreciate it. I value your friendship, and I want you to know that. Thank you for everything that you've done for me for these past 14 years. People used to, you know, ask me, say, how, you know, what's the thing that you want to remember, or what you want your kids to remember about St. Louis U High? And I hope that they remember some simple things. You know, it's all in your preparation. If you prepare well, you've got a chance. You've got to prepare well. And when you play a team that's better than you, it really doesn't make any difference, because the team that's going to win is the team that plays better for an hour and a half. And that's what I think our guys did for a lot of times is our kids, maybe we weren't quite as good as somebody, but we played the game better than they did that night for that hour and a half, and we came out on the top end. But those are kind of surface things. You know, that's important. But what I really wanted the kids to remember is how to treat one another, how to treat their parents, how to treat their coaches. We disagree, because you guys know, coaches and players, we don't always see things the same way. There's a way you got to handle things. And I wanted my kids to know that. As a coach, I had to be open to the fact that sometimes I was wrong, or that sometimes a kid made a bad choice. And maybe he said something he shouldn't have said, but I needed to be open to the fact that he's got to grow too. So when something happened and we had a little disagreement, hey, the next day was the next day. I never carried it over. So I wanted my guys to know that if they prepared well, if they played hard, just play the game and let it play out, and don't worry about the result, because you can't control the result. You can only control your effort. I also wanted my guys to know, and this is probably the thing that became more difficult over time, and it's not the kids' fault, it's not their parents' fault, it's not anybody out there's fault. It's nobody's fault. But as I got further in my career, things became different in terms of the game around us. It used to be that SLUH was the center of their baseball world. And then it kind of moved away. And kids used to play for showcase teams, and the game becomes about them. You know, some of the clubs don't even bunt because it doesn't show well. And the problem with that is that I know clubs take money, and I get that. But the problem when we all buy into this is that what we're really doing is promoting selfishness. We're promoting individuals. The game is a game. The purpose of the game is for this team to play that team and somebody wins. It's not about showing somebody's skill. And I think we need to challenge that. And I know some of you guys are older, you're like me, you got grandkids now, and some of you guys are younger, you got your own kids. And I would just say this, you know, make sure your kids know the game isn't about them. The game is something special unto itself. They're supposed to be playing this game to win or lose the game as a team. And whatever these guys do together, they do together to try to win the game. It's not about them. And I think it's something that we need to keep pushing, we need to keep plugging, we need to challenge the way society, the goals, the norm of society, we need to challenge those things. I probably forgot something, okay? Because like I said, I lost my notes. But I just really want to tell you again, thank you for being here. Thanks for making this a great night. And thanks for all the hard work that went into it. And I'm a real lucky person. Nobody went to work for 40 years and had as much fun as I did. And I want to thank you guys for being a really, really big part of that. So thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I knew I forgot something. I worked for the greatest athletic directors. In my time, I had really more than two, but Chris is here, and he's kind of like me sometimes. He kind of likes to be off in the corner, but Chris Muskoff is over here, who is a wonderful young man. He's our athletic director, and Dick Wayner, who was one of the best guys in the world to work for. I worked for one of the best. The guy that's done more for Steve Nicola out at St. Louis U High is Father Paul Sheridan, and things that he's done behind the scenes that never takes credit. You guys would have no clue things that he's done for me and for some other folks. And I'm real appreciative to those guys. And I guess I just want all you guys to know, and I want all you parents to know, that from a guy that's been here for 40 years, I truly love St. Louis U High. My two boys, they couldn't go here. They could not go here. And it's okay. I couldn't go here. Okay? It's okay. This isn't for everybody. But for the kids that are lucky enough to be here, I can't think of a better place for kids to be. And I'm real appreciative of the opportunity that I've had to be here for 40 years. So anyway, thank you so much. Thanks for coming tonight.
And finally, we're going to have Chris Muskoff. Just want to briefly recite some numbers regarding Steve Nicolrat. 634 wins, 280 losses, 29 district titles, including 26 consecutive. Appeared in 19 quarterfinal games and went to 3 Final Fours. Chris Muskoff who is now your AD here at St. Louis U High, will have the final remarks.
Thank you. Believe me, it's an honor to be up here in the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm standing on the shoulders of a lot of great people who have contributed to this baseball program, this school, and specifically this evening. I want to start by mentioning 2 of them, Dick Wayner and Gary Kornfeld. They are each attending first communions within their respective families. They could not make it here tonight, but Coach, they asked me to say that they appreciate you. They enjoy being your colleague, they congratulate you, and they love you. So pass that on from them. So tonight, after Coach has talked, after other people have talked, Sean bestowed upon me the honor to present Coach with a gift. And my first thought was, let's keep it bare bones. Coach, thanks, here's your gift. See everyone on May 6th for the game against DeSmet. We're gonna have the alumni on the field in the pregame. Coach is gonna throw out the first pitch. And he just found out that he was going to throw out the first pitch, but Coach is going to throw out the first pitch against his alma mater on May 6th. And then I said, does that do this justice? Does that do this evening, this program, this man, this school justice to just come up here and hand him a gift and then we all walk away? And so then my second thought was, I could tell my story of how I got cut my junior year. And then I knew what Tom was going to talk about, and I said, no, I'll just let him handle that. So I don't need to retell that story. And then my third thought was, do I tell my story of how I didn't go out again my senior year to be cut for a second time? But instead, I went up to Coach in his office, his classroom on the 3rd floor, and I said, hey, I don't want to get cut again, but I want to be a part of the baseball program. How can we make that happen? And he said, well, here's what I want you to do. You've been to our camps, you've been to our practices, you've been to our tryouts. I want you to start the year helping Mr. Craig Hannick with the B team. And I want you to work with his outfielders. He's going to cut the team or make the roster through tryouts, but then I want you to help him as the season starts. And so I did. And Mr. Hannick, I was only with you for a couple weeks. We would have been a lot better that year had Coach not taken so many of your pitchers. But nevertheless, that was his right, and I enjoyed the opportunity to be with you. And then when the freshman season started, Don Maurer, who was our basketball coach at the time, started freshman baseball a little later. Coach said, I want you to be with him. I want you to help him in the tryouts. He's going to have 80 guys show up. He's one set of eyes. You know what we're looking for. Go with him, help him pick the team, and coach with them the rest of the season. And I did. And that one thing led to another, and that sparked a fire for coaching. And here I am today. But I thought, that still doesn't do this evening, that doesn't do this program, this man, this school justice. And then this happened. At 2:01 a.m. Thursday morning of this week, I received an email. No, I wasn't awake to get it at that time. But I received this email from someone who could not be here tonight, but wanted to share his thoughts on the impact of SLUH baseball, Coach Nicolrat, all on his life. About 2/3 of the way of reading that later Thursday morning, I knew that this would do this evening justice. Since then, I've read this email 5 more times. Every time I've read it, I've laughed out loud. Every time I've read it, I've cried. It's my hope tonight to be able to get through it without breaking down. So here we go. Chris, I left you a voicemail. I'm sorry it's late, but I was trying to figure a way into town even recently from Alaska. I couldn't make it happen. The following is my thoughts on Coach Nicolarot and SLUH baseball. I hope you can find a way to share it. I'm sitting at home late Wednesday night after a series of snowfalls here in Anchorage, Alaska. We were on the cusp of spring, but the past 2 weeks have temporarily delayed that. I'm a bit reflective and pensive, not for the weather, but as the weekend approaches, and I know I will not be in St. Louis for the event. The closest I came to playing baseball for SLUH might be my dad, who graduated in 1951. I believe, but I'm not certain, that he lettered in baseball. I know he did in football. But from 1987 to 1991, I was lucky enough and had the extraordinary good fortune and opportunity to work for the baseball team and Coach Nicolarot. I did stats for baseball as I did for football those 4 years. To even have been invited to the event tonight was an honor. I love SLUH, I love baseball, and it was tremendous to even be included. There are lots of stories I could tell about Coach Nicolarot and my experiences with SLUH baseball. There were lots of funny times. He did not get mad when I protested a game in Belleville over an orange construction fence. And he did not even know I had protested it until a final determination letter came to him at school in a response to a series of letters I sent over the outcome of that game. He did not stay mad at me when I argued over him not taking my advice after I intercepted an opposing team's signs. He didn't seem too mad one game when I met him at home plate to argue a call with an umpire. He tolerated me enough to tell me to handle practice one evening, moments after he had his jaw broken. And practice was actually going okay until Mr. Wayner figured out that I was the one that was running practice and Coach wasn't there. But this event is about a century of baseball at what I feel is the greatest high school and, by the way, the greatest baseball city I could have ever attended, and about a coach, a man I am so honored and humbled to have spent time with. I think the Missouri High School Activities Association has already established what a great baseball mind Coach Nicolarot is. I never met anyone before or since who knew the game of baseball like Coach does. But what I offer is this. Coach Nicolarot took me in, a person, someone medically incapable of playing a sport, and made me part of a team, something bigger. Coach always knew there was a bigger picture. Coach's kindness, honor, decency, fairness, sportsmanship, commitment to excellence is what I will remember, always. Coach's concern about me and everyone on a personal level, and learning and knowing about our families is a lasting memory. I was lucky enough to spend time with Coach and his family, and I know what I will take away from my days at SLUH was his love, commitment, dedication, and total concern for his family, his wife, and his children, all of whom I got to know in those days. I never threw a pitch in 4 years of SLUH baseball, or caught a ball, or swung a bat. But Coach offered me an example of how to carry myself as a person, a man, a sports fan, and although far ahead of when it would actually happen, as a father and a husband. I've been really lucky to have some great role models in my life, my dad, my brothers, others. But included right next to my dad and brothers is Coach Steve Nicolarot. Aside from the fact that I am not there this weekend, my only other regret is that my kids, especially my son who lives and breathes St. Louis baseball, and who wears my old SLUH gear up here in Anchorage, has not yet been able to meet Coach. I was blessed to go to SLUH. I was blessed to be a part of SLUH baseball. I was blessed to have Coach Nicolarot come into my life. Coach, I never actually said it then or since, but I love you and am honored to have been a minute fractional part of your historic career at SLUH. Sincerely, Rob Marks, class of 1991. So, Coach, on behalf of Rob and all the Rob Markses you have impacted, we have a gift for you. This gift is the navy version of the jersey you're currently wearing. In doing so, we are now out of St. Louis U High Baseball number 14 jerseys. The St. Louis U High Baseball program will remain out of number 14 jerseys for the rest of its history. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It really meant a lot. Thank you.
On May 6th, when we host DeSmet and coach throws out the first pitch, there will be a memento of a number 14 jersey also displayed at Sheridan Stadium in Drury Plaza to honor Coach. So please, we ask all of you that are available to be there that night to join us for that jersey retiring ceremony and pregame ceremony at the stadium. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's activities. I know Chris has asked me that he does have a assistant coaching position available at the lacrosse program. Is it too soon? Anyway, too soon. My bad. But anyway, I wanted to lighten it up a little bit. I mean, when he's done over here tearing up, please go tell Chris Muskoff what a great job he's doing. Thank you, Chris, for putting this together. I want to thank all the committee, John Pino, Sean Nolan, Tom Zinzelmeyer, Bob Nance, Ray Bolte, Sean Annual, and Chris Muskoff for this great evening. Go forth, and we all know what that means. Go forth, all for the greater glory of God. Pursue excellence. Thank you all. Coach, great seeing you. Very pleasure to meet you. Steve, I love Bobby. He's a good friend. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.